fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got tracks and he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Hey everyone, the USF 2000 is a blast to drive now, and here's your chance to learn it quickly. From my tutorial, VRS created a free bonus track guide for the Laguna Seca circuit, where you can learn exactly what I do in every corner to improve your lap times and get faster on track. You'll learn how to easily recognize brake markers, you'll find out which curbs to attack and which ones to avoid, you'll know when to use the full track and when a sequence of corners requires a compromise. And you'll learn how hard to brake and when to lift. The VRS Quick Reference track maps are available free to download and delivered each week to your inbox. The entire global MX-5 series is available, as well as bonus maps like this one and many more. So if you're a new racer, or a veteran, or just anyone who wants to learn how to get faster sooner, the VRS track guides are for you. Just hit the link or button on screen and get yours today.
This is Club Day Masters at Twin Ring Motegi for the 55-minute Enduro round. Normally in Club Day Masters, a 15-minute and a 40-minute race. We smushed them all together into one Enduro extravaganza here at Motegi. Qualifying's just about to get underway, and my goodness, there are going to be some drivers really in need of a good result tonight. It's getting towards the pointy end of the championship, round 7 of 8. Any misstep now, very, very costly for the drivers in our top 10, and that is what their focus is going to be on tonight here at Motegi. David Haynes, Nick Scariev with me. Nick, TCR cars for an Enduro, not a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Thank you for having me. You're exactly right there. I think there'll be the strategy will even play into even more. Instead of trying to like squeeze a pit stop in a 20-minute or 25-minute window, they're really going to have to try and pick where they want to be there in that 55 minutes as well. There is going to be a safety car as well, so it is going to be pushing people to have their strategy pitting earlier than what they normally would.
Yep, you see the facts there. Limited fuel means they probably can't pit at the end of lap 1 and make it. They might have to go a bit deeper into the race before they make that stop. But as you say, you might want to have cleared your pit stop before the safety car, depending on tyre wear and all of that. Like 4.8 kilometers of the full layout of Motegi. Of course, the east and west courses do get a bit of a run, and they wouldn't be a bad idea for this TCR car, but for the 55-minute Enduro, the full layout of the road course of Twin Ring Motegi. TCR wouldn't be bad on the oval. We had TCR racing that looked like an oval a couple of weeks ago at Watkins Glen. So they said on the iRacing Facebook page, but key overtaking opportunities as always. Turn 1, Turn 5, Turn 10, Turn 11. Particularly Turn 11 can be a real challenge. Downhill in the braking zone into a deceptively tight corner that then feeds you back underneath the banking of the oval circuit. Bit of Monza in that regard, almost.
Yeah, absolutely there. So there is quite a lot of straight sections here as well, so lending itself to a bit of that aero advantage here, especially just seeing a few cars there on that main straight. So we do have few sections around that 600, 750 meter mark.
This is the championship standings after round 7 with just a couple more races to go. Jack Boyd in the lead ahead of Lee Harrison, just squeaking clear of Andrew Hobby, who's just ahead of Brenton Hobson. So close there between 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but also all those drivers nipping at his heels. Jack Boyd can't afford to have a bad race, particularly tonight, where it's all or nothing on the points in just one race. There's no coming back from a mistake this evening. You've got to be in it at the end of the race. And you see Aaron Oliver, Thomas Martin, Ivan Vantagiato, Glenn Boyd, Sam Lehman, and Adam Sharp completing the rest of the top 10 in the standings as they come into this round.
Yeah, absolutely there. And you can kind of see consistency really pays off there with Jack Boyd being up the front there as well. But many of those other drivers behind there having very mixed results here. Just having a look at one of the Boyds here. Might be behind Thomas Martin here at the moment as well. Just trying to catch a few of the other cars as well. I know Drop Bear is in Brenton Hobson's in a bit of a Drop Bear sandwich, as you can just see a little bit further up the road.
So it's qualifying right now. They are all really packed up, either looking for a slipstream or looking for a bit of clean track, and these drivers ducking over to the right. You want to get clear of this. First drivers who are going to start a flying lap here is going to be Jack Boyd. Oh, but behind Hobson, Greg Holmes, some others have already come together on the formation lap. Well, not quite formation lap, but just trying to find their clean space. Behind Hobson and Harrison. Times on the board right now has Jack Boyd on the pole from Andrew Hobby and Vantagiato. And they started all tripping up over each other a little bit. Oh, and here's a problem. I don't just mean with the delivery.
Yeah, Tim Rouse there maybe a little unloaded the car there through that chicane section. So it is a bit tricky here as well. Motegi being quite a long track there. So usually expecting laps around 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So they won't get too many chances to really get so many laps in around here. It is quite long, as well as that outlap as well. So they really only had 15 minutes. So it only really gives them a handful of laps to really nail it. It's quite easy as well on this track. Plenty of runoff everywhere. Quite easy to get an off track as well.
More than 20 cars, and all of them seem to be in the same sector at the moment. That has caused a couple of problems. A few drivers without a qualifying time yet. Lee Harrison, Hamish Cleland, Byron Phillips. See if they're all able to fix that up. In the middle of the mess though, Caleb Hydes, I think, has just a couple car lengths clear behind him and a bit of clear space in front as well. Looks like Oliver and Glenn Boyd immediately in front of him. Far enough ahead that they won't really get in his way, but close enough that he might still just pick off a hint of a slipstream.
Yeah, normally we do see Lee Harrison usually always makes a bit of a late storming, but I believe he's run too late there at the moment. Starting from 22nd place would be making things quite difficult. Just on board, just with Caleb Hydes there at the moment. Oh, running out way too wide there. I do think that probably invalidates his lap. So he's currently sitting around that 20th position mark. He'll want to slide up the order as quick as he can. All pretty well bunched together though, if you consider Caleb Hydes. Around that top 10 is split by about a second at the moment. So it is starting to really sharp up the front there.
Yeah, and didn't stick that lap time for Hydes. That is an unusual exit to the qualifying session for Darren Sharp. So it has been an interesting qualifying session so far. You've got the likes of Caleb Hydes, who hasn't yet put a representative time on the board. His official best lap at 2:13 is more than 10 seconds off the pace. He clearly hasn't had a clean lap yet, and there's some other drivers here with similar problems. So
good to see Dylan Burst in as well. He's almost considered probably more of the wildcard drivers that's been coming and going. Not ripping a massive slide there. I do like his Dogecoin livery on the side there, but currently sitting in 4th position. He'll be definitely one to watch. Very, very talented, but nothing to lose here at the moment. He doesn't have a championship to really worry about, much like Boyd and Brenton Hobson as well.
Yeah, so Andrew Hobby's put himself to the top of qualifying by keeping it on the paved stuff almost, it would seem. He's not picking up a big slipstream right now, but he's looking to improve on 2 minutes 1.5. He's got himself ahead of Boyd and Thomas Martin and Dylan Burst and Aaron Oliver. Whole whack of drivers here are going to come across the line. You can see Thomas Martin kind of in the middle here. So Hobby to the line. Very, very subtle improvement there, maybe. And you've got this next bracket of drivers who came through.
There we go. Yeah, Caleb Hydes has just pushed Aaron Oliver back in position. So Caleb Hydes up into 4th place near the front of the field there. Lee Harrison as well has jumped in as well. So those two were struggling a little bit earlier on a little bit of pace there, but have got some, got some clean air and clean track ahead of him. Still waiting on Hayden Jackson there and Byron Phillips to get a lap in. Just Byron Phillips.
Yeah, you saw how much grass he picked up in the middle sector there that flicked him sideways across the track for Byron Phillips. But there is still drivers, I think Darren Sharp and Bradley Vaughan haven't got a time at all close to what you expect they could do. Hobson also definitely a driver who could be on the front row or a bit higher. Currently sitting in 10th. Final couple corners to go through there. Bizarre little chicane where drivers take a lot of different lines on their way in. He's all on his lonesome. No distractions. Brenton Hobson a long way out of that corner to the timing line. 2:01.6 is going to move him onto the front row.
Yeah, absolutely killer lap there by Brenton Hobson. No assistance needed whatsoever. No drafting or anything of that side yet. We haven't really seen a fast lap out of Jack Boyd yet. About 2/10. He's usually very well clear, usually in qualifying. He really seems to nail it, but currently 2/10 adrift there of Andrew Hobby, so we're going to come and see him come around there over the start-finish line, see if he can improve.
We're looking on 1/10 to go up a position, 2/10 to put it on pole, and doesn't look like an improvement. So he's 4/10 short of nipping pole position away. He will get another lap. So too will his dad, Glenn Boyd, who's moved up into 8th.
Does also look like those two, maybe Daniel Gomez as well, will be the last cars being able to get a lap in. So not forgetting that, yeah, the laps around here are about 2 minutes and 1. So they've just come over the line there. It is a hard cut that we have here. So anyone else coming through now will be their last lap there as well.
So Hobby's parked up. He's not going to come back out on track. Thomas Martin is parked up. Vantagiato, Cleland, and Hassler are all parked up as well. So there's only now about half the drivers out there who can still improve from the time they've currently got. Looking at some of them in the middle sector here. On board with Caleb Hydes, who would want to improve on where he is in 6th. Not as far off the pace as he was right at the start of the session. Took him, the better part of half of the 15-minute session to put something in the bank that was representative. Now he's hoping he gets a slipstream, but not held up here. And that's always a difficult balance with pace difference across the field sometimes. And this is looking like it's going to get in the way of Caleb Hydes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's massive braking zone there into turn 10. Down the back part of the circuit there, you can almost see the the other set of pits there, but currently sitting in behind car 17, who is Adam Sharp there from Sharp Racing there. So Adam flashed the lights there from Caleb Hydes. He clearly wants to get through.
Yeah, well, is he going to get another lap? We'll wait and see on that one, but this lap's not going to be an improvement, and he's starting the next lap Adam Sharp still right in front of him. That looks like Aaron Oliver is going to go ahead and park it. Sharp did a personal best. Nope, he's just pulling out a slipstream or something. Sharp just did a personal best on that lap, so that's why he didn't want to get out of the way of anyone. He was running his own qualifying session, and where other drivers found themselves in traffic is not necessarily his own concern. If he's out there setting his best qualifying pace, he's not in the way if he's trying to qualify.
I think much maybe like a few of our drivers that we have out here, it is like a non-heat race, so there is no hard cut here. So we will see, well, in particular, Caleb Hides and a few of the others have another crack here. You see Hobson there coming just through. Hides has appeared to have parked it there as well, so just seeing Brenton Hobson here come through turn 11 through the back part.
I think we've actually only got Hobson, Vaughan, Tim Rouse out on track, and I think Tim Rouse just parked it. So this is the place to be looking right now as the sun is low over the sky and it's a very cool track. Hobson, it's a really long line all the way to the timing line there underneath the bridge. And I tell you what, I think he only manages to go and steal pole away at the very, very dying breath of the session.
Yeah, a bit of a shame there, I think, from Andrew Hobby, just trying to get his first pole position in this series. So he's just been beaten to the post there by Brenton Hobson. He'll still be pretty happy though, starting from that first row of the grid. They'll have to really try and find a rhythm here with this 55-minute enduro round.
Bradley Vaughan through the final sector, last driver out on track in this qualifying session, trying to keep it on the groupy part of the road, out of the final corner, and then that run all the way there towards the bridge and the timing line. 2:02.94 is a 10th and some off an improvement, so that's qualifying done for Bradley Vaughan. Locked into what looks like 15th on the grid. And when he parks it up, I wonder if the session automatically advances itself or the minute keeps ticking down. But that should be everyone from qualifying. And you saw a lot of drivers out there trying to get a slipstream, but actually the best lap times were set with the clean air by Hobson when there was almost no one else left out on circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does kind of lend itself, these big sweeping squared off corners.
And then you've got the flowing middle sector through a bunch of S's as well. You can lock in the grid now, though, and this is what it is going to look like for the 55-minute endurance here at Motegi in Club Day Masters. It is a dual hob burner on the front row, Brenton Hobson and Andrew Hobby. Then Jack Boyd, championship leader, defending champ, starting out of third. Thomas Martin with a strong qualifying in fourth. And then we've got Lee Harrison and Caleb Hides on row 3. Behind them, it's Glenn Boyd and Aaron Oliver. Dylan Burst making that wild card start, as you said. He's on row 5 with Ivan Vantagiato. And then Hamish Cleland and Scott Hassler right in the meat of the field, right in the middle on row 6.
Well, get through these pretty quick here. Go the other way down the start grid. It is Sam Lehman there and Adam Sharp, Bradley Vaughan and Wayne Losh, Jesse White Carrick, that's right, Jesse White Carrick and Anthony Connors there in 18th, Daniel Gomez, Philip Paradiso, Tim Rouse and Darren M. Sharp there, rounding out our cars with a lap time.
Does look like just Byron Phillips without a qualifying time. They're lining up, they're counting down, and we are, of course, going to have one compulsory pit stop, at least one safety car randomly in the race. They are all loading up for that, thinking about strategy now already, I'm sure, as they sit on the grid, but then shortly thinking about revving it up, pulling first gear, pulling into the race here at Motegi. Nice banked oval, but we're on the road course of this beautiful facility. I've never seen that sort of hotel thing up on the hill there, and it would have decent views as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is really all going to come down to the start there. Andrew Hobby there with that inside line, if he can try and get that launch there over Brenton Hobson, he might actually have that edge in on this first couple of corners.
Well, to the left, the pit lane that they're going to need to use at least once during the race. To the right-hand side of screen, all of your beautiful TCR race cars. Andrew Hobby, as you said, with the inside line into turn 1, but Brenton Hobson on the pole, furthest ahead, hoping to get a good launch. Green flag drops, and he does get a reasonable getaway, but also a good launch from Hobby. All pretty equal, but immediately you see Caleb Hyde looking 3 wide down the inside. Hobson sweeps through into turns 1 and 2, still holding on to the lead, while Hyde's almost got to the rear bumper there of Lee Harrison to help him around through turns 1 and 2. The whole field goes relatively cleanly so far. Maybe Tim Rouse in the background there, kicking up a little bit of the dirt, and here's Jack Boyd already on the charge down the inside of Hobby. Through turns 2 and 3 they go, kicking up a little bit of the dirt there, still trying to find temperature in the tyres, and then escorted out a little bit wider as well through the next turn. Andrew Hobby still side by side with Boyd for second. This is helping Brenton Hobson start to streak away. Well, Thomas Martin is now battling side by side with Hides and has taken that slot away from him.
Yeah, Thomas Martin there, not getting a great run at the start there, but has managed to get back around Caleb Hides as well. I think we did see Dylan Burst there just off in the background, running wide on one of the corners as well. So he's lost a couple of positions. He's absolutely kicking himself there, which that has pushed Vantage out of there and Glenn Boyd up the order a couple of positions.
Yeah, movers so far, Jack Boyd up into second, Lee Harrison up into fourth, both of them picking off one spot. Martin was a bit further in the hole until he got that spot back off Hides. Now you see them mostly single file to this hairpin at the far end of the circuit. Thomas Martin there really squaring it off to put the power down well with the front wheel drive down the secondary pit straight, sort of the support paddock area almost as it was. In this corner I mentioned right at the top of the broadcast, severely downhill, lengthens the braking zone, makes the car a little unstable as you pitch it in, and then the camber changes at the apex, a little off camber there. Everyone makes it cleanly, makes it a possible overtaking opportunity into there, and we're almost one lap done as they come through the final sector, through the final corner. Jack Boyd is still feeling some pressure from Hobby and Harrison. First, kicking up the gravel through the final corner, but Brenton Hobson 8/10 in the clear. He's done lap 1 exactly as he would have hoped to when he first put the power down with the green lights.
Yeah, absolutely. There, I was just trying to check through the replay there to see what happened to Sam Lehman. So Sam I don't think he made the start, or he did pull out very quickly after. So very unfortunate there. Would have been great to see him battling through some of this mid-pack here, as we see. As I say, at some of the mid-pack racing there, a few unfamiliar cars that we've might not seen too much there. That is Hasler and Bradley Vaughan as well, Scott Hasler there. So these guys just trying to find their spot a little bit. You can actually see Brenton Hobson from that battling there between Boyd and Hobby is just opening up that lead a little bit to around. It was up to about a second there as well, but they've actually closed that gap in. So just on board with Scott Hasler there at the moment. You can see just how everyone is vying for position. You can see, I think that is Dylan Burst just a little bit further up the road. He's going to be trying to shuffling his way past Glenn Boyd up to the front.
Yeah, so Boyd's kind of managed to settle in second place here, claw back some of the gap to Brenton Hobson. Front of the field has all compressed down again. Vaughan, I think it was having a little bit of a look, but was not close enough to Adam Sharp. Obviously teammates of Asler and Cleland, 13th and 14th, as you can still see most of the field all together in a line.
Yeah, it's really...
4 seconds will cover you from first down to 10th still at the moment. So they are all single file and lined up pretty close still.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just really admiring the paint there. Always got an eye for a paint job there. So good to see another team kind of throwing it into the mix there. There is quite a lot of team motivations and team challenges and a points table for the teams in both TCR here, as well as the Simworks, as we see Ivan Vantagiato there going backwards off the circuit there. I think that might have been potentially with Dylan Burse. So he's going to try and rejoin it. He might try and go for the pits a bit early on and rely on that safety car to bunch everyone back together.
He was definitely racing around 7th or 8th or so it was with Burse. Wide back up to that one. Does he almost do it by himself? And then, picks the power back up, goes into the door of Burse and ends up in front of Aaron Oliver as well. So he's super loose on the way in, loses the rear, and
yeah, very unfortunate there for Aaron Oliver. Absolutely nowhere to go there at all. And these, even though they are front wheel drive, they do get very, very light in the rear end. So we're just going to stick with this replay at the moment.
Bradley Vaughan gave quite a hit there to Adam Sharp. Sharp tries to cross back underneath him. Is that the sum total of that, or does things get a little interesting? 3 wide on the way back out from the infield, still side by side with Sharp. And then a nice Tony Hawk move.
Yeah, I think that might have been Anthony Connors there potentially in the background as well. So in a fight there, I think that might have been Daniel Gomez. Bit of a hit there. They do tend to spin very easily there when unloaded through the corner. So even the slightest tap, even without a tap, as we saw with Vantagiato there, sliding out on his own. So he's absolutely blowing this field out a little bit there. So we'll see a few of these drivers come through the pits now.
So we had a very clean lap 1 and lap 2, and then by the time we got to lap 3, it all started kicking off a little bit, didn't it? This is Oliver trying to come back through the field a little bit, and I wonder if he's maybe picked up a little bit of damage. Scott Hasler and Adam Sharp are now the drivers behind him. Vantagiato and Bradley Vaughan pit for repairs, or Vantagiato might just be strategy-wise, but he did bounce off 2 other cars, so if there was a bit of damage there, I wouldn't be massively surprised if Vaughan had a much bigger hit with the barrier and the Armco in the narrow section underneath the oval course just here. They come through. So your top 6 away. 2 cars, Burse and Glenn Boyd together, and then the pack we were watching there led by Aaron Oliver.
Yeah, so you can just see that gap really open up between Dylan Burse. Almost 5 seconds there from those cars in behind. We are having a look. I think for Glenn Boyd and Dylan Burse are almost held out in almost no man's land here at the moment. That this top group are all sticking together pretty well here, all the way down to Caleb Hydes there. So Anderson and a half separating these 5. These 7 by the looks of it. So no one making any real moves at the moment. So it'll be pretty much all relying on Brenton Hobson now on when he'll take that pit, try and obviously get that pit window done before that safety car as well. He's not going to try and really put an attack on the rest of this field and try and pull away, because he knows that they are all going to bunch back together when this safety car comes around.
Lee Harrison was in position there to have a bit of an attack at Andrew Hobby, your pole sitter, and decided against it. Sorry, Andrew Hobby was on second on the front row. Ooh, that was wide. Glenn Boyd lose out a bit there.
Yeah, I did think it might have been Thomas Martin as well, go a little bit wide there. All taking very different lines there. I think that might be Caleb Hydes defending right down the center there. Glenn Boyd just sitting back here behind the rest of these guys, all fighting for position at the moment. Dylan Burse running wide again. I think we did see him do that in qualifying, so it's going to that is going to affect his run here down the side here. Actually just catching just off camera there, Lee Harrison into the back of giving Andrew Hobby a little bit of Morse code there via his Audi onto the back. Andrew Hobby there defending his line pretty well, so no changes in this leading group here at the moment.
Not too much bump drafting going on, unlike previous rounds.
just catching as well with Adam Sharp, not registering any laps at the moment, so either it might be that he's been off into the grass doing a bit of mowing every lap there, or just been banging into other people so much that it's actually invalidating his laps here at the moment. So he's still just trying to get around here. 10th place there of Scott Hasler, trying everything he can to Scott Hasler there defending that 10th place pretty well.
Yeah, last lap was 204.8 for Sharp, and the laps are being scored, but every one of them so far appears to have had an off track or a bump or something. Let's see about this lap. It's gonna come towards the signing line. I'm still not sure. Oh yeah, finally one sticks for Adam Sharp.
I do believe as well that might be that incident that we saw before with Anthony Connors. I do believe that might be a drive-through penalty added in as well. So we'll see him pull into the pits and slot down the order. A bit unfortunate there, but we could see that those two were fighting pretty ferociously. Fighting ferociously though. Obviously these top 8 now cars at the front here, all sitting in behind Brent Hobson. He's controlling the pace at the moment. They're not pushing too hard at the moment. It's really worth stretching it out.
Yeah, we've seen the masters of strategy, because every round, even in the regular format, has a 40-minute compulsory pit stop race. So we've seen the drivers have to, maybe save a little bit of fuel if that helps their pit stop time. Think about tires, think about when's the optimal time to pit. So it's not like this is the only race in the season where they make pit stops during the race. It's just a longer race that they've got to consider a little bit more and race a little longer. It's 2.3 seconds to cover your top 8 here. They're pretty well nose to tail. A little gap there between Hides and Martin, but it's almost bumper to bumper in the top 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, absolutely, and quite a spread out between the teams as well there. I think that might be Jack Boyd and then Glenn Boyd at the back here, but they're all pretty much held on their own there as the independents with Brent Hobson as well as Andrew Hobby as well, and Lee Harrison's out on his own, so no one can really work together in this. They're all kind of fighting for their own position.
Dylan Burst in 7th currently has the fastest lap of the race. So that's indicative of the fact that there is still some strength to the slipstream, even though this isn't the pit straight at Interlagos or Watkins Glen Classic. And indicative of what we might see from him later in the race as well, because he started 9th, he's up into 7th, he's in the lead pack.
Hearing through the race radio as well, car 17 being Adam Sharp there as well, so another penalty handed for some of those incidents that we did see. So race control very all over this field, keeping everyone in check there. So just outside the top 10 with Adam Sharp here at the moment.
Burst with the move. Burst trying to get forward, but he's ended up out sideways, and he's going to lose out. Thomas Martin's going to lose out. Glenn Boyd's going to sneak through, and worst of all, I think they're going to drop the leading cars as well, which is what they didn't want. So how did Burst end up out there? Because last I saw, he was up behind Thomas Martin and looking to dive down the inside of the left-hander here. A little unconventional. Oh, he's plain missed his braking marker, has he? No. And then he's made big contact on the exit with Martin. As I say, cost both of them a lot of time. Let Glenn Boyd through. And has also almost let Aaron Oliver catch them as well. So everyone else is playing the game, and maybe Oliver's not going to catch them doing stuff like that through the final corner.
So it's a little bit crossed up there. Might have also missed his braking marker maybe getting a little bit too hot there with that change of direction. So still very unchanged though through this top 4, top 5 here at the moment, as we just see Daniel Gomez coming to the pit. So he looks to be one of the first unassisted pit stops coming through here at the moment. So we'll start to see quite a few of these cars try and get that undercut. Do know that they will have to pit in pretty soon to compensate for that safety car later on.
Those poor cones in turn 3 just get absolutely butchered every single lap. Put back up, and then our drivers carelessly bash into them once again. Does look like Burst and Martin have managed to just stay with these leading cars as well, as you see different lines between Boyd and Hobson. Hobson following a more traditional racing line. I think Boyd's almost taking a kind of conservative line there, where he's making it clear he's not going to dive down the inside, while Hobson is leaving himself the option to defend the inside if he needs it. See this when you go from the right-hand side of the track to the left-hand side down the straight here. Boyd's really quick to get across to the new side of the track, and Hobson just lingers in the middle of the road a little bit longer. Hobby is doing the same thing there as well. It is really bumper to bumper between the top 4. They are in a holding pattern at the moment in this race. And there's a problem for Adam Sharp.
He's just trying to work out where he is. He's actually in turn 10, which is not where the pit lane actually is. It is in turn 13, so did find it a little bit preemptively. We are going to cut to a bit of a replay here, so completely disorientated there. He's probably worked out by now that the gate is closed, and he did maybe thought that chain link fence was a bit of a way through, so he's actually stuck there as well. He won't be able to reverse out of it because it will count him as going in the opposite direction of the track, so he'll have to get the tow hook the rest of the way.
I think he's gotten a taxi back to the hotel. Yeah, does it count as an unsafe pit entry if that's not the pit entry? Irregardless, this is the correct pit lane, and there's a couple drivers on it. Tim Rouse, Darren Sharp, and Philip Paradiso. The first thing that's going to be done there is Darren Sharp.
There we go. So he will be carrying the Sharp name all the way to the line there. Not too sure. I think that is Adam Sharp's race done there after that after that pit lane penalty there, as well as trying to serve the pit lane penalty in the wrong pits on the other side of the circuit. So he's called it for tonight. Just on board here with Dylan Burst. Looking back at, I think that is Glenn Boyd up ahead. So they've actually, great work with Glenn Boyd actually closing that gap there all the way to Caleb Hydes there. You can just see that drop bear car there. Wide again there for Burst. He seems to have a fair old habit there of running it wide through a lot of these corners.
Does seem to have a knack for only keeping one of the drive wheels on the pavement, giving himself plenty of torque steer out the corner as one wheel gets a lot better drive than the other. He's back with the pack, which is where he needs to be. Wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to size up Glenn Boyd here. Line through the final corner for Burst was one to try to get him close down the straight, and he's just going to lunge for the inside of turn 1. Drivers often don't worry as much about the apex for turn 1 because it's all about the apex and the drive off turn 2. Sometimes, for some cars, you take a line there that only apexes turn 2 rather than 1, and he's taking advantage of that to really step through the open door and get down the inside, and Burst is up into 6th with a rather aggressive move that is not being echoed by everyone else. And here's Jack Boyd down the inside of Brenton Hobson for the lead of the race. Don't know why we're watching at 25% speed, but that's how it happens.
So poetry in motion there. So Jack Boyd choosing we could see that Brent Hobson there was really controlling that place. Sorry, the pace there. Jack Boyd thinking that he might be able to just hammer it a little bit hard there. So putting in an attack, he's going to try and maybe stretch his field out a little bit, which might not work to his detriment though. They still have to come into the pits here. But it will be all eyes on Jack Boyd now. So when will he take that pit lane strategy?
Last lap for all of them here was in the 203s, which was starting to be about a second away from what they looked like they were capable of. I think Hobson, if he was going to lead, he was going to lead at 99% speed rather than 100% speed, whereas it looks like Boyd has gotten out front now and really put the hammer down and turned the wick up, and a lot of them behind him, almost all of them behind him, jumped for pit lane. He's left out on his lonesome. There's a big car park and checkup on the way to pit entry there. So Hobson, leading everyone into pit lane, was in the good spot, whereas 3-4 cars deep in the training, they couldn't attack pit entry how they wanted, and they lost a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely there, and it was actually Lee Harrison into the back, repeatedly in the back there of Andrew Hobby there, so both of those two. Oh, and Aaron Oliver there actually just caught off screen, overshooting his pit box as well there.
So overshot too, big time.
Yeah, so
two drivers who might lose out.
So quite a lot of action here in the pits there, so hopefully Lee Harrison actually hasn't pushed Andrew Hobby in as an unsafe pit entry. They did get quite up on that grass. It actually has like this really tight kink there. Brenton Hobson though, clearly away from the rest of the field there at the moment, so his pit stop absolutely nailed.
Yeah, and a big jump from Burst as well. Looks like Hides has gotten out there, but it would have been a second or two further ahead without it, and Oliver is right with them. Vantagiato, he also pitted kind of early, and he's right with them as well, so he's had a couple good laps. Look at these drivers trying to get the tyre temperature up. A beautiful piece of poetry in motion once again, but Vantagiato, his tyres are right up to pressure, so he's on the attack to get into this leading pack. Immediately on the case of Aaron Oliver, might think that once they get into the longer, more flowing corners, that's where he's going to have that tyre temperature advantage. With the grip at the front of the car through the long corners, he might be able to pull a couple more spots. Bit of Hobby and Hides going back and forth. Hides will end up in front.
Yeah, this is definitely worked out into Andrew Hobby's advantage there. He's actually slotted down quite a lot there. Caleb Hides there doing a great job there, as well as Dylan Burst sliding up the order there. So Burst having a great run here. We are going to expect these guys to be pushed back a little bit closer in together here as we just catch, that is Jack Boyd there into the pits, so we need to keep a good eye there on that pit exit.
Yeah, just respond to the fact that everyone else had pitted, and now Cleland and Losh are going to pit as well, which means that everyone has made their pit stop. Here's where Hobson is, coming past the other set of pits into the final two corners. He's had a good pit stop and a good outlap. He could be pretty level with Jack Boyd, but it's not looking bad for Jack Boyd, actually. Car drops away. He's right in the prime spot at the exit of pit lane, but Hobson is at speed. So who's going to hold on to the lead of the race here? I think it is just going to be Jack Boyd, but Hobson has one more lap of temperature in his tyres. But the two of them have said bye-bye to the rest of the field, unless Dylan Burst can really turn up the wick in third.
Yeah, absolutely there, and it seems to be that real push for fourth place as well there between, you can just catch off camera there between Andrew Hobby there and Caleb Hides. Quite bunched up at the moment, but absolutely there between, there's almost 5 seconds there between first and third, so you can just see visually how much this lead has blown out.
And how many spots Dylan Burst was able to gain through the pit lane there. He got himself ahead of Hides and Hobby and Thomas Martin, Glenn Boyd, etc. as well. So up into third place for Burst.
Just quickly too, not too sure what's happened to Lee Harrison. We did see him, he might have actually taken on a unsafe pit entry there or potentially a penalty or something. So he's slid right down the order. We did see him as he takes one of those cones out. We did see him. He was right on the back there of Andrew Hobby. He's also slid down the order ever so slightly into 5th, but Lee Harrison all the way down in the 17th.
Box time was 69, but it was not nice. Might have been speeding on the way into pit lane. There was a real concertina effect as they all tried to slow. Well, they all came in a line and then tried to slow down to that pit lane speed limit, and it kind of meant some of the drivers deeper in the train there did get a tap from behind. So whatever it was for Lee Harrison, he's been held extra time in the stop, and it's hurt him very, very severely. Now there's a bit of a gap forming here between Burst, Hides and Hobby, and then back to Glenn Boyd and Vantagiato. Those two did make contact here at turn 1 and 2 earlier in the race. Vantagiato is looking down the inside this time, and he's gonna do it.
Yeah, there we go. Vantagiato there making the most of that inside run there. So he's going to try and bridge that gap there between himself. You just see Andrew Hobby there taking out a few cones. Vantagiato there taking a pretty wide line as well. So take a lot. I think Glenn Boyd's really going to respond with an attack here at the moment. You can just see that gap opening up. So he's more or less outside striking distance at the moment. This will absolutely play there into Vantagiato's hands there. If you do see some battling between Hides and Andrew Hobby there, it's actually going to really, or any battling between these three, it's actually going to really slow them up here and bring Vantagiato right into the mix, which they definitely won't want.
So does Vantagiato have enough fuel? Do the other drivers who pitted earlier, on the earlier side, Daniel Gomez, Bradley Vaughan, did they have enough fuel? Because it seems like the tyres was the defining thing to the length of the pit stops. It's a really late apex for Martin that left him maybe vulnerable to Aaron Oliver if Oliver had wanted to try to get down the inside. So Vantagiato did the compulsory tyre stop basically lap 3 when he pitted very early. He's cleared the compulsory tyre stop. The question is, was he able to take enough fuel then to get to the end of the race without another pit stop?
Yeah, absolutely. There is. I do see these two a little bit further down the order than what we normally do. Aaron Oliver there, currently 5th place in the championship. So
I think I've answered my question.
yeah, Vantagiato there back into the pit. So I think you might be right there. Not up on the jacks at all as well, so maybe taking just that splash of fuel.
Yeah, we'll see. And rather than, go all the way to 5 laps to go and then need to pit, he wants to make sure he's good to go and all done before the safety car. I think that's the thinking with that, pit again quickly mindset. The other hope would be if he could really save a lot of fuel with the safety car, which I don't think was quite going to happen based on the fact that he pitted 6-7 laps earlier than everyone else. You're not going to save 7 laps of fuel in a 2 or 3 lap safety car, or at least you'd be silly to gamble on it if the margin was a little closer on how much fuel he had.
Yeah, absolutely as well. So not choosing to go with that end of line, so hopefully he can kind of capitalise on everyone squashing him back together. I do see a fastest lap there from Lee Harrison. It's fastest lap from Lee Harrison there, so currently up in 17th. He's going to be trying to cut through as quick as he can. Plenty of clean air up ahead. Great run there with a 202. I think 202.043, so
Again, another driver for whom the safety car might just save their bacon in the second half of this race, because otherwise, green all the way to the end, Lee Harrison is 46 seconds, almost half a lap away from the leader, Jack Boyd, whereas at some point, that safety car is going to bring him right back into the condensed line might be able to pick off a couple spots quickly, battle it in the top 10. Who knows where he could be after that and what might happen.
Yeah, and you'd have to say that safety car should be pretty well soon because they're very close to hitting that halfway point. I think 55-minute race there. Only 25 minutes left on the clock, so should not be too far off there. The wind, just saw the wind there off Brenton Hobson's front splitter of that Audi there, unsettling a few cones, and then I think whoever that was behind him there, taking them all out.
It's a tough life for them there at turn 3. The other ones in other places are more safe. Apparently it's also tough to be a chain link fence in the secondary pits. Oh, there's the safety car. When's it going to get ready? Your safety car driver, Greg Holmes, is in it for when it's needed. The Club Day Masters safety car. So at the moment, Jack Boyd, 1.5 seconds clear of Brenton Hobson. Dylan Burse in third, trying to close him down. Caleb Hydes and Andrew Hobby, you see, trying to run with them as well. Bit of door-to-door between Thomas Martin and Glenn Boyd in the background, and Aaron Oliver is right with them as well.
Yeah, great defense there by Glenn Boyd, also parking it right in the center of the line there. That's actually given it, Aaron Oliver there. Just saw off in the background there, those two between himself and Thomas Martin. So he's shoved his way through there. Thomas Martin being the bit of the punching bag of tonight there. So he's down a position in that.
No doubt. I think Glenn Boyd and Martin side by side cost out Thomas Martin, and then we saw again that really late apex he tries to take through the hairpin. Well, it was an open door and an invitation to Aaron Oliver, and he really muscled his way through up into 7th.
There we go, another lap through and still no safety car, so time is definitely ticking down there. Great work there by Dylan Burst to bridge that gap, because we did see, I think that gap was almost 5 seconds or so between Hobson and himself there. Did run, just caught off camera there, Dylan Burst running a little bit wide again, but a great work there to absolutely close that gap between those. Great work there by Aaron Oliver as well, up 5 positions. Did not qualify as well as what we've seen, and that is the announcement of the safety car.
Yeah, safety car right now is going to pick up Jack Boyd. He's around the far end of the circuit here. So he'll come around at reasonable clip still, but there is no overtaking now. And that will make our top 10 Jack Boyd, Brenton Hobson, Dylan Burst, Caleb Hydes, Andrew Hobby, Glenn Boyd, Aaron Oliver, Thomas Martin, Hamish Cleland, and Scott Hazeler.
Yes. Great back there by Dylan Burst there with a 2:02.002. Super quick there, really getting into the groove there, bridging that gap to Brenton Hobson. So he's definitely going to be one to watch there on the restart.
It's a memorable number. You'd want that as your business phone number, 2:02.002.
It's almost like the Pizza Hut number, wasn't it?
Ah, you'd remember better than me.
Me. Or 14:40.42, which was Loopmobile.
They come to you.
That's right.
Safety car is out. We're looking backwards from on board the Porsche 911 safety car. And here comes Jack Boyd. Jack Holmes giving it proper iRacing safety car experience as well.
I've just seen him bunch up behind there as well. Push safety car looking very safe there in that yellow livery.
Mustard.
In the mustard with all the appropriately placed sponsors, I think. See a Digital Tribe there on the hood.
Yeah, I think they're all there.
I feel like they need a Porsche series just to commemorate such a great livery there.
I think we might. I feel like we've been through this in past. It's got Palmer's on there as well. It's got SimWorks. Most of the good stuff. I think pit lane will open this time around if anyone wants to pit, but they're wise to this game already, and I think most of our drivers have taken their compulsory pit stop already, so I don't know how many people are going to need to pit with this safety car. If you don't need to pit, you don't. Track position is pretty key. Hobson and Burst with a bit of a fake, but Glenn Boyd is going for it, which is a surprise to me. I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah, especially when he was so far up the order there, so actually might have made a miscalculation in his stop. Not taking enough fuel, so quite a few other cars here on in the lane as well.
And it's not quite like supercars or NASCAR or something where, you know, on a restart, fresh tyres could be super important. There are a few others in there. Bradley Vaughan, I tell you what, isn't a surprise because he was one of those other drivers who pitted after lap 2 or 3, and therefore you thought he was going to need more fuel. Oh, this is the turn 3 cone experience, and 2 can be mercilessly attacked by a flock of TCR cars. So here's Vaughan, Lee Harrison catching the field. Vaughan's also in a darker coloured car, just leaving the pit lane now. Gomez right behind, it is. So, don't know why Gomez is pitted for a second time, but I can guess that for Vaughan it was fuel.
Yeah, someone that we haven't seen too much of coming through. Just trying to remember. Just trying to catch that car number. I think that might be Tim Rouse.
Yeah, long stop for Tim Rouse. Might have been speeding on pit lane just like Lee Harrison had. So they're going to struggle to come around and catch the field because they're already 2/3 of the way around the lap, and safety car ought to be coming in this time. It can be a very quick safety car. It absolutely pants all of the TCR cars if Greg Holmes gave it the beans.
Also, quick shout out as well to Wayne Losh. Almost been the quiet achiever. We haven't seen him once here. I think he's just been keeping his nose pretty clean up there. 6 spots there from 16th, just up into that top 10. So, great work there by Wayne Losh.
You remember Losh was also, as the safety car stays out for one more, Losh was also one of the drivers who went very deep on the first stint. So unlike some of the others, probably no concerns about fuel, making it a real one-stop. So he's picked off a lot of positions from some drivers who might have pitted too early or had some problems or something else that have come through the lane for the second time with this safety car. So he has benefited well off that to be positioned well for this restart at the end of this lap.
Yeah, we're going to really see who's going to get that jump. So all eyes will be on Jack Boyd on whether or not he's going to try and hold the field up or really gun it as soon as those lights turn green. See quite a fast pit speed there. We've seen a few cars up around that 130 kilometre an hour mark there. So this lap is going to be over pretty quick. About 15 minutes left on the board.
Yeah, Holden safety car accelerating up to about 120 or so. Faster than Barney or Barney's cousin would drive it. I feel like we worked out what Barney's cousin was called. I can't remember.
He's usually standing with his hands on his hips, isn't he? Shaking his head in disgust.
So there's just a couple of drivers that aren't on the back of the field. Anthony Connors, Philip Paradiso, Tim Rouse. Other than that, you saw a few of them just trying to make sure that the tyre temperature was there. The safety car's going to start pulling away, and then it's going to be Jack Boyd's prerogative as he leads the field to the restart. The safety car gets well away. Jack Boyd has got them all. Brenton Hobson right behind him. Dylan Burst right behind that. Jack Boyd's the championship leader, and he's going to lead the field to the restart here out the final corner. And we are green with 13 and a half minutes to go at Motegi and Club Day Masters. Jack Boyd ought to have the fuel to get to the end. The longest stint I've seen so far today, 14 laps, and with 7 to go, that might push him beyond that. If that was the case, those drivers who pitted with the safety car could be in a good spot. How much fuel is Boyd going to need to save as he leads the field? Hobson, Burst, Martin and Oliver. Maybe going for a little bit of revenge there. Martin and Oliver got into each other earlier on, trying to squeeze him out off the exit. Martin now comes back across in front of Oliver to defend the inside line here. They're racing like there's not long left in this one.
You can actually see as well that actually Andrew Hobby just off in the distance. These two battling as well is actually going to drop them off that front pack as well. So very quickly losing that chance there at a potential top 5 position between those two. One of the, I think that might be Darren Sharp there. Trying to go the long way around Bradley Bourne. That's not going to work, so he's going to slip in behind.
Bit of lawn mowing there for Brenton Hobson in second place. He then loses out a critical car length or so to Jack Boyd. Here, Vantigiato along with Wayne Losh. Good strategies, put Wayne Losh in a good spot in the field. Vantigiato wants to send him backwards, and he's going to get a good run in the wide line there. I think it's going to happen as they then head downhill into the 90-degree off-camber right-hander. A lot of other cars, Vantigiato's looking at picking off as well.
Yeah, Vantigiato there really maintaining that momentum, pushing it super wide there. So he's actually got those silver and green cards there as well. So not too many changes here up the front here at the moment. This the fastest safety car has really spread everyone out just a little bit more than what we normally see.
One lap complete on the restart, and it was a quick one for everyone. Did almost everyone set a personal best lap on the first flying lap back in business? So throw out that they might be fuel saving, because Jack Boyd set his personal best, Brendan Hobson set his personal best, Dylan Burst set his, Caleb Hyde set his, Andrew Hobby set his, everyone in the top 5, that was their personal best lap just then. Full attack, full beans.
Yeah, we did actually, talking Caleb Hyde, just had to zoom in on someone's face, talking personal best there. Caleb Hyde's unfortunately running a little bit wide. That's actually opened that gap a little bit. Andrew Hobby there, trying to go as inside as he can there. Caleb Hyde's defending very hard on the inside line. It's actually going to slow him up again and even bridge that gap to that top 4, I believe, in front. Or top 3, sorry.
Vantagiata is also continuing his carve through the field, sandwiched between approximately, where's he? Between Cleland and Hassler, and he's gotten past Hassler, but Hassler wants it back, trying to come around the outside like Vantagiata did on Wayne Losh. Isn't going to work, but it will protect Hamish Cleland for a bit. Maybe even bring Wayne Losh and Glenn Boyd back into this one as well. Bizarre timing on that second pit stop for Glenn Boyd. Here he is looking down the inside of Losh. Breaks a little earlier though, and therefore sits back in the back of his field.
Yeah, Hassler there, right over the back to advantage out of there. Really not too happy about that position taken from him. He wants to take it back. Runs a little bit wide. That's going to affect his run here over the start finish straight into turn 1. So these three are just a little bit spaced out. The Vantagiato going really sharp there under brakes. Definitely not within that distance there to make a move, but he is going to try and use that momentum potentially around that turn 3-4 complex.
Thinking about it. Oh, and there is a bit of contact made, and neither of them make the corner at all there. And that is way, way off the circuit for Cleland. It's going to let a whole heap of cars back through.
There we go. Vantage out of there, straight back onto the circuit as well. He's not he's not wasting any time. You could see he was really lining him up quite through very fast there, like no way that he was going to make that corner there. So you see how quickly though, straight on the circuit there, thankfully just off the racing line. I think that might have been Daniel Gomez up the inside.
Jack Boyd leads Brenton Hobson and Dylan Burse. Our top 3 starting to sneak away as Hydes and Hobby had started to battle. Martin and Oliver have been battling plenty this race as well. Exchanging a bit of paint. And then Scott Hassler is up into 8th. Wayne Losh back up into 9th. Glenn Boyd in 10th. Plenty of interesting things could happen with just 8 minutes left to go. Using all of the paved road and then some to 2 apexes that make up the final corner. Hobson's going to run it out a little bit wide, just like Burst had done in qualifying. Burst is now in the perfect place to try to attack. Right at the rear bumper of Brenton Hobson. Coming down towards turn 1, he looks and he is going to take that diamond deep dive into turns 1 and 2. Oh, and then comes across the bumper of Hobson, gets him out of shape. Burst goes backwards into 3rd. He's slow. Hydes and Hobby are on the attack as well. Hydes is going to actually give him a bump. So interesting to see there, but a little bit of contact between 1 and 2. Call it a short shoot if you like, between Hobson and Burst.
Yeah, it did seem Burst was pretty aggressive there with closing the door. And Hobby there just said, Brenton Hobson there standing his ground a little bit. We might see these three just work together a little bit and try and bridge that gap. There is still about 7 minutes or so left on the board, so you might see there's a gap there. It's to be about a second or second and a half or so. So if these three can work together, they can actually close right up again.
And it'll only be 3 laps to go at the line next time as well. So if they're going to try to catch the top 2, they've got to do it really quickly. If they're going to battle over 3rd place, better start now as well. There you can see your distinct little packs and the different lines into the hairpin. Some drivers point towards the apex as they brake and then just try to hook around the inside. Some are taking a wide entry or late apex and hoping that that lets them get the throttle open earlier in the front wheel drive TCR car.
I'm just saying. There we go. So from race controller, they have confirmed that it was netcode. So they are the decisions. Just looking at a lot of action though between, just caught on that double screen there between Thomas Martin and Aaron Oliver. So these two absolutely trading paint so much through this race here at the moment. So good to see a lot of battling there for that 6th position.
Yep, double screen burst, the holder of the fastest lap of the race. Or at least at one point he was. I think he still is. Yeah, I think he still is. So he's been using that pace to close back in on 1st and 2nd. So actually clever of Hydes to just sit in when he had the chance to attack. He didn't. And that might still work out. And Oliver very equal on the pace as well, just behind that.
Yeah, you can see Dylan Burst there. He's starting to gain a little bit of pace there. He's almost broken away a little bit from Caleb Hydes. Caleb Hydes there almost now having to defend Andrew Hobby. Just drifting off ever so slightly. It's an absolute stellar drive though from Dylan Burst, obviously starting a little bit further down in the order than some of the others around him. Doing an absolute stellar job, especially with some of those off tracks that he had earlier on as well.
Was there this much sun earlier, or is it just come out a little bit? There you go. Boyd, Hobson, Burst, Hydes, Hobby. Top 5. And in the pack, with time ticking down at the end of this 55-minute enduro. Still feel like there's a lot of work for Burst to do if he's going to catch 1st and 2nd, and he was wagging the tail a little bit through the final set of corners as well.
You see Hobson too, right on that rear bar there of Jack Boyd. So these two starting to heat up just a little bit. I think Hobson is going to try and definitely not content with 2nd place there. He's starting to really put some pressure on for that 1st position. Bit unfortunate there for Drop Bear, not seeing Corey McFarlane. We did see so much action, obviously, from Corey McFarlane. Talking about action there, Brenton Hobson up the inside there of Jack Boyd. Jack Boyd's going to try and cut underneath here as they come under the bridge.
Yeah, they told him 2 to go, and Hobson's decided time to light the fireworks. What that is going to do, though, is bring Burst into the picture oh so quickly, because they're still too wide for the lead of the race. Hobson stakes his claim to a bit of space, shows the nose, but eventually Boyd comes around the outside of him to then take the inside at the next apex. That's a view and a half. That is an Audi rear bumper there, and that is all Brenton Hobson's got right in front of him. This is Gomez off the track. Around about the same place as Vantagiato, where Losh and Hassler and Glenn Boyd are all battling here. Glenn Boyd, think about down the inside, 3 wide, bit of contact there with Hassler as well. And around the outside swoops Losh, but the tight line has worked pretty well actually for Glenn Boyd. Bradley Vaughan is going to race his way into the picture as well. Are they 3 wide? They pretty much are. Glenn Boyd's going to back out of it all the way from the extreme inside. Losh is still looking down the inside once again of Hassler. And now Vaughan down the inside of Glenn Boyd, and they make a little bit of contact on the way out of the corner. All fair, everyone stays on the road. Kind of looks like Hassler is just going to hold on to this one, but Losh is going to have a really good line to attack. Vaughan, he's in a weird place of the road there as well. No traction. Enter the picture. Lee Harrison is going to take away 1 spot, looking for another. Starting the final lap, it's all kicking off everywhere because at the front, Jack Boyd has to defend from Brenton Hobson. Dylan Burst is absolutely in the fight now as they battle 2 wide for the lead in front of him.
Yeah, and this is a perfect opportunity now. Burst, he can try and slip a position in just in between these two, as we just see Brenton Hobson run super wide there. He's still got a little bit of momentum, so actually on the inside of the circuit, almost 3 wide. Dylan Burst just choosing to jump out of it there. Brenton Hobson there, oh, he's going to hip and shoulder Jack Boyd again.
and just lent on Jack Boyd a little bit on the exit. And as Hobson rejoined it, it blocked out Burst, and he had nowhere to go on this one. Hides and Hobby are also going to come into the picture, but Hobson battling for the championship right now. He's in front. He's going to try to park at every opportunity. Burst is on the attack as well, and that's a concern for Jack Boyd because he's only got 2 real opportunities left to try to get back to the lead. You want to be right there, but he's now a car length back, another car length back. Here's Hides looking down the inside as well. And a little wide of the apex for Hobson. Might give Boyd his one last opportunity. In the next pack, all kicking off again. Lee Harrison trying to pick away certain positions. Bradley Vaughan trying to take away the spot from Wayne Losh. But into the final sector, in the lead pack, they all pull out into the downhill braking zone. Hobson's clear. Burst is taking a dig at Jack Boyd, and Hobby was also trying to make the move on Hides. Didn't seem like it happened, and these two have traded plenty of paint. But out the final corner comes Hobson, and if he can keep it on the paved stuff, he's going to take the Enduro race win from Jack Boyd. Dylan Burst in third. Hides and Hobby drag race to the line, but it looks like Martin has the fuel and the power to hold on to that one. And that's Losh facing the wrong way in the last corner on the last lap. He's going to lose out in his little pack.
Yeah, not too sure what happened there with Wayne Losh. They were taking each other quite deep into some of those final corners there, so he's unfortunately lost out. Bit of a shame with his pace that he's been showing earlier on.
Right, let's look for Losh here, side by side with Vaughan into the final sequence of corners like they were a couple laps ago, but there's only minimal overlap there as Vaughan tried to come down the inside, and you've mentioned it. The unloaded rear of the car at only a little tap will send it around. Vance Giardo 2 stops, and he is still coughing and spluttering his way to the line on the final lap.
Yeah, so definitely what could have been there for Vantage out of there. I think he'll be finishing around that 18th position, maybe even a little bit further down. So definitely have to look out for his fuel strategy. I think the 55 minutes have caught a few people off guard.
Definitely, they all wanted to pit early to protect from the chance of a safety car. I mean, the inevitable likelihood of a safety car, but precisely when was anyone's guess. So then a few of them did have to maybe just manage the fuel a little bit towards the end. Brenton Hobson, though, struck at exactly the right time that Jack Boyd could no longer get him back. And then the other drivers behind in the picture made it difficult for him as well. So Jack Boyd in second, Burst in third, Caleb Hides in fourth, and Andrew Hobby in fifth. Thomas Martin held off the charge for many laps from Aaron Oliver, and they finish 6th and 7th. And then Scott Hassler from Lee Harrison and Glenn Boyd is the top 10.
Yeah, Glenn Boyd finishing a little bit further down there with that extra pit stop. Bradley Vaughan there, Daniel Gomez, Wayne Losh, as we saw that incident on the very last corner there. Jesse White-Carrick, Darren Sharp, Hamish Cleland, Anthony Connors, Ivan Vantagiato there in 18th. Philip Paradisio, and then Tim Rouse a lap down in 20th. Adam Sharp being our last car, and then our retirements there of Sam Lehman and Byron Phillips not making the start.
No, I don't think we saw Byron Phillips in qualifying either, so I don't know about that one there. But what a race at the end after the safety car restart. They really got into each other a little bit. Brenton Hobson and Jack Boyd traded that lead 1 or 2 times, and then when the cards fell, it was Brenton Hobson with the win. So let's talk to him. He must have been pretty happy with Interlagos a week ago. Now we jump all the way across the world to Motegi, and it's still you versus Jack Boyd, and you come up trumps again.
We can't seem to separate ourselves, eh? It's I was happy with last week. I thought that was a really cool race, and I didn't think the racing could get a lot better. And Tonight was a really slow burn. It took a long time to get there, a lot of fuel saving and just patience, looking after the tyres and that sort of stuff. But then at the end there, it was elbows out, and we went to war, and it was just as good as it always is. And another great race in the TCR cars.
Tell us about the start of that pit stop sequence, because a whole bunch of cars in a train, as TCR is wont to do. Jack Boyd stays out, and everyone behind him dives to the pit lane. You sort of maybe leading that charge there. What was the fuel window like at that point?
Yeah, well, there's a method to the madness. I was saving a heap of fuel, and I could have done the extra lap, but we knew a safety car was coming, and I wanted to make sure I didn't pit too late, because if I'd have gone one more lap and Jack would have been in the same boat, if the safety car came out on that lap that he stayed out, he wouldn't have made it round to the pits again under safety car to get his pit stop in. He'd have to pit under a closed pit and end up at the back. So I pitted what would be a lap early to make it on fuel, but then hoping that we could save that lap back under safety car and probably have a shorter race distance with the safety car laps as well. So in the end, fuel wasn't an issue, but I've made that call to pit perhaps a lap earlier than maybe some of the others were expecting to, just because I didn't want to take that risk of having that safety car come out right when I didn't need it to, and end up having to go to the tail.
A fun pit entry it can be here as well.
You're not wrong about that. I jumped in the practice session, and I was like, I better just do a pit entry, because I haven't done one here before, and fired straight across the chicane and into the pit wall. And I was like, right, okay, better adjust that for the race. And I'm glad I checked it, because otherwise I would have come unstuck big time, I reckon.
And how about the last 5 laps or so there? You looked to be riding along with Jack, and then sprung an attack at the perfect time.
Yeah, well, I was measuring him up, and he was going fairly fast. But I mean, after the pit stops, he pitted a lap later, so his tyres were potentially a little bit better there. But he also was sort of pushing on a bit before the safety car, and I was just cruising. I wasn't so much needing to save the fuel as much as I was the tyres. So I was really trying to look after the tyres, and I didn't want to push too early towards the end there, because I know that they burn off the fronts, and there's a couple of really high load corners around here that would really hurt the front tyres. So I tried to pick my moment, and I made a mistake coming onto the main straight there and was vulnerable. And then I had to get into a bit of a fight there for second for a lap. And I was worried I might not be able to get back to Jack. I had to take a big bite out of the tyres to get back up to him. But yeah, once we got there, that was it. I didn't wait. I threw an attack as soon as I did, because I didn't want to leave it to the last lap just in case I couldn't get the move done. And yeah, then the chaos ensued. A bit of side by side, a few bumps and biffs, and TCR touring car stuff that we all love.
And in the end, you can't be displeased with the result. We ran down the championship standings at the start of the broadcast. You've bit by bit clawed your way back towards it, but this Jack Boyd guy just keeps finishing, right behind you.
Yeah, there's not much catching Jack. He's just so consistent. He doesn't need to win. He just needs to be there, and that's what he does so well. He's a good points chase sort of driver. He's just consistent, which I like to think I am as well. But I just got hurt with a couple of real bad rounds, and I think I've got the pace to go with him. I think I've proven that now. But yeah, the deficit's pretty bad. We need him to fall off the road a couple of times, I think, to even be half a chance. And I mean, it's possible. It happened to me, but it doesn't look probable. So I'm not expecting to catch him. I mean, I'll be happy if I can get back into the top 3 in the points and overcome those couple of really bad races there, and just finish strong every week. I mean, I'm only out here to try and win races and run at the front, and the points will land where they may. And it's not really a big presence on my mind as much as I'd like to do well there, but just turning up every week and doing the best I can is what it's all about, and really getting in these good races, which, when I don't get wrecked or crash off or do something silly, the racing's fantastic, and that's what I'm here for.
You're a TCR winner in Club Day Masters once again, taking the Enduro round. Who are you going to thank?
Oh, thanks to the team, SSR, and the sponsors on the car, JK Sign, Smith & Sons, DGD Customs, and all the rest that all help out with the team. And a shout out to Jack as well. Another great race with him. And also to the guys that run the league. It is a good bunch in here, and the racing can be fantastic, as we've shown a few times in a row now, which is great. And also to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Much appreciated.
Always a delight. Hopefully see you next week.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Well, Nick, I think that begins to set the sun in the land of the rising sun on Motegi. And what an interesting race it always is with these TCR cars.
Yeah, absolutely. They're almost a bit reminiscent of the Olympics here. I think we did actually have the road cycling race might have come through here, or it might have been Mount Fuji. I always forget which one it was.
It was
but-
Fuji Speedway. I didn't watch it, but I know
yeah.
I know that's the track they did a bit on.
Oh, well, on that positive note. No, it was some excellent racing there. A lot of consistency, and obviously with the longer enduro really maybe confusing a few people there with how to really approach that strategy. We saw quite a lot of experienced drivers make really costly mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, another track that's always interesting for the Slipstream and TCR, Phillip Island, next round, next Monday. Run out the final corner, down the long pit straight and in towards turn 1, often sees the Audi RS3 LMS banging against the rev limiter in 6th gear. Such is the strength of the Slipstream, such is the length of the straight and the fast run onto it. That can make moves difficult, but pack racing easy for these cars. So you're not going to want to miss how that pans out. One of Australia's best, highest quality circuits for Club Day Masters next week. It'll be broadcast here on SimSpeed TV as well. Club Day Masters brought to you by SimWorks Race Simulators, Automotive Towing, Digital Marketing Tribe, Palmer's, Extreme Air Conditioning, and now Global Logistics. Thanks so much to them for making the league and the broadcast possible. I've been David Haynes with Nick Scarriev and Jay Kennedy producing. And we'll see you next week, next Monday on SimSpeed TV for Club Day Masters at Phillip Island.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?